Today we are going to discuss an unusual but valid way to get your green card. It's called Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, or just Special Immigrant Juvenile, SIJ for short, SIJ. I'm going to tell you how much it will cost and how long it's going to take.
Calificas para ser legal, quieres saber, solo llama al abogado Andrés Mejer.
You've probably heard my story, but in case you haven't, I want to share it with you because it might help you understand why we treat clients the way that we do. My family and I immigrated to the US in the 80s. When we came here with visas, we got an attorney who said they could help us become green card holders and then citizens. That attorney took our money. They did absolutely nothing, and my parents had to drive all the way to New York several times over the course of 2 or 3 years, almost 5 times, each time bringing money. Our visas expired, and for a time we lived without legal status in the US. This negatively impacted my family for years. As an adult, I worked hard to become a US citizen and an attorney to help people like my family. I'm determined that my office does everything it can for every person we have the privilege of serving, as if I'm helping my own family. I now have a very big family. We have helped over 3,828 people about the legal process, and we've educated thousands more about what they qualify for. So now that we've covered what is SIJ status and we covered how to apply for it, now let's talk about how much does it cost and how long does it take. First, how long does it take to get a green card for SIJ? The first step is gathering the documents and the information. Once our office receives payment in full, we have all your documents and you have answered all of our questions, we can usually submit your application within 2 to 3 weeks after we have all the evidence that we need. Often we do it a lot faster than that, but nowadays there's always a lot of emergencies. We never know what the future holds, so we give ourselves a little bit of extra room just in case. Now, immigration is legally required to make a decision within 180 days after receiving a SIJ application. We're not talking about green card. Green card's a different story. However, it often takes them 8 to 12 months. The green card processing can take much longer depending on where you are located and the wait times for your local office. As of today, 17th of August, 2020, it's taking 18 months to 3 years. So 1.5 years to 3 years for our clients to be approved for their green card. If you are in removal proceedings, it's gonna take longer depending on whether the court retains jurisdiction. So you file the motion. The judge may not decide until the next court date, which could be a year further down the road. You don't get a decision, you go to court, the judge terminates proceedings and remands to immigration. Guess what? Now you have to wait the 18 plus months, the 1.5 to 3 years with immigration. Sometimes it might just be easier to have the trial in front of the judge. It depends on which court, and it depends on what jurisdiction you're in. New York, Texas, Florida, California, each area has limited number of officers and an X number of cases that they handle. The more cases they have per officer, the longer it takes. Immigration is not going to make a decision on your green card application until after they make a decision on your SIJ application, which I explained before. You're looking at this whole process is often 3 to 5 years. Just keep that in mind from beginning to end. How much does it cost to get a green card or special immigrant juvenile? Well, we first start with the 3 questions and we create a plan for you before we accept you as a client. We only take clients that we can help. If you recall, number 1, do you qualify for green card through SIJ? If not, then we can't help you unless there's some other path. Secondly, is it something that can disqualify you, like multiple entries, prior denied petitions, criminal charges, removal proceedings? Can we fix that problem? Motion to reopen, post-conviction relief, or a waiver? Because we focus on these 3 questions, 2 clients who are both filing for SIJ might have very different costs. In general, here's how we look at immigration fees, whether you are filing for a SIJ or for your green card through SIJ. We first review your background. We typically charge $1,000 per person to do the following. 1, do we need to order documents for immigration through the FOIA process? There's 7 different agencies that we order from to look for past border contacts, deportations, or prior petitions. And second part, do we need to order copies from criminal or juvenile courts? And we do a background search for the FBI. For $1,000, we do both. We also usually request your motor vehicle history. I have had clients who are under 18 and were charged with a DUI, if you can imagine it. So it's underage drinking. If there's something that makes you ineligible, we then have to fix it through a waiver, reopening criminal case, reopening a removal order, or refiling for relief. The cost can vary, but it's typically from $3,000 to $15,000, depending on the severity of the criminal charges you face. Once you file the Form I-360 or Form I-485, you may have an interview before a USCIS official. We strongly encourage you to bring an attorney with you because if you are denied, you'll be placed in removal proceedings. We typically charge $1,500 to attend an interview with you if you are in New York, New Jersey, or Philadelphia. If you are in removal proceedings, then we charge you $1,500 to go with you to court, depending again whether it's New York, New Jersey, or Philly. If you have multiple family members who have court on the same day before the same judge, we only charge $150. If the judge denies the motion to terminate and you have a trial on the Form I-45 before the judge, we usually charge between $5,000 to $6,000, depending on the complexity of the issues that we're handling. Let's take a step back. What are we doing for you? Is there anything that disqualifies you? We order your background search. We order your information from immigration. Are you in removal proceedings? Are you going to have an interview? So if you're in removal, there's a fee every time we go to court, $1,500, and there's a trial fee, $5,000 to $6,000, again, depending on what we're doing. If you're not in removal, then all you really have is the background search, then there's the family court part, then the I-360 part, and the I-45 part. So let's talk about what the costs are for each one of those. The first part is filing a complaint with the juvenile court. You will have to create affidavits, submit evidence proving each of the 5 requirements mentioned earlier. You will then have a trial in front of a judge, in New Jersey, the family court judge, to get the findings you need in order to then file Form I-360. This process typically costs you between $7,500 and $9,000, depending on how many people are getting this benefit. Is it just you, or is it you and your twin brother, or is it you and your 2 or 3 siblings? We charge a nominal fee to include an additional person. Once you have the juvenile court order, you then have to file Form I-360 with USCIS. We typically charge between $3,750 to $5,000. USCIS has been making this process much harder than it used to be, and it takes a lot more effort to get approval than it used to be. Everything under this administration has gotten more complicated, more time-consuming, harder for attorneys and non-attorneys. Once your Form I-360 is approved, you will then have to file Form I-45. In some circumstances, we can file both at the same time. That one is also $3,750 or $5,000 for Form I-45. You may also need to file a waiver. If there is something that makes you ineligible that the SIJ didn't cure, in order to get your green card, we may have to file a 601 waiver. The cost for that depends on $1,500 to $3,500. Again, it depends on the complexity of what we're talking about. This is the general framework so that you can understand what the thought process is. Now, it is very unusual to have to do all of, matter of fact, I've never had a client where I had to do all of this. Post-conviction relief motion, motion to reopen, background search, trial family court required, I-360 required, I-45 required. But it is unusual to have somebody that you got to do all of it for, and they're in removal, and they have court, and they have trial, and they have motions, and they have immigration interviews. That doesn't really happen. Actually, it's never happened to me. So again, I'm giving you the laundry list so that you understand. Also, as you can see, each one of these has a cost. It's for that reason that my assistants can't give you a price on the phone. It requires the knowledge and experience to figure out what your particular situation is and how much do we charge for your particular situation. But the good news is we do offer payment plans. If you pay in full, we give a discount. If you hire for all of them, we give an additional discount. The more money you bring to your consultation, the higher possibility of getting a discount on your immigration case. We also give your case the priority that you do. So the sooner you pay for your cases, the sooner it gets filed. We typically need several weeks once we have all the documents, you've answered all our questions, and you've paid in full to file your case. The more you bring with you to start your case, the lower your payment plan would be, and the faster your case will be filed. Final thoughts. USCIS is changing costs for applications as of October 2nd, 2020. The prices are going up. They're also modifying fee waiver requests. As of today, we don't know what that looks like, but if you're eligible for SIJ, we are recommending that you apply for one ASAP. You don't want to have to pay more than what you need to. The SIJ application form I-360 is the same one that is used for a variety of other applications. It's very important you read the instructions carefully and fill it out correctly. USCIS can and has rejected applications that are not completely filled out. That means filling in lines that don't even apply to you. I know, it's crazy, it's absurd. Welcome to this immigration and to this president. While it may seem expensive to hire an attorney to help, if you don't hire one and your application is rejected. So imagine you went to the judge, you got the order, but the order didn't meet all the requirements, but you didn't know any better. You then went to the I-360, you filed it, you now turned 21. 2 years have passed, they now deny your petition and saying that the judge's decision was incorrectly done. You may not be able to go back and fix that. You also may not be able to file a new application because you're now over 21. So it may seem expensive, but sometimes going the inexpensive route becomes really expensive if you lose your only opportunity that you had. Please like our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share this video with anyone you think it could help. See you next week.